it got me to really appreciate the values of this protocol, and the founders had just really given it back to the people. They created it and they gave the money and gave it to everyone. And how, like, you can organize your event, that amazing event you're doing today, I can organize. Anybody can build or use this. It's not like some foundation or controlled by any kind of centralized organization. So it really got me excited, and I got addicted to it. And that was like October 2020, almost, yes, almost 3 years ago now. And I love the idea of it being so global. Like, I'm in Thailand, you're in Vietnam. There's I was talking to Sajin in India today. There's people all around the world. There's an active community in China. It really got me excited about this project. And I have many names now, and I have mined it, and I've also, HandyCon and other things and auctions. So I really I love the potential and the opportunity.
Yes, that's true. So I would like to introduce to you more of the people around here, right here. So for everyone, those who don't know, we have Mike Michelini. He's ambassador of Handshake, and he's like a central person that will connect everyone in Handshake community together. He helped us a lot at start, and also beside that, he also an expert on e-commerce and e-commerce and business things. You have a lot of business company, right? Yes.
Yeah,
So we are so pleased to have you here today.
yeah,
But I think, yeah, yeah, I think this handshake domain totally can replace can replace Google and Twitter and Facebook. So to build a real decentralized internet, we have to have handshake, right? Do you agree with
yes,
me? Yeah.
I agree.
So
For so many uses, for sure, it's needed.
yes.
Decentralized ID is the future.
We say the handshake is the future, right? What about you,
Yeah.
Santiago? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I think, I agree with Mike on the notes here. We don't really see Handshake as replacing .com. We don't really see as a replacement for .org. We see as something, as an alternative, as something that could be used by more people for lower cost in a decentralized way. So you gave a great example, Mike, on the community section. I think that's an untapped potential for Handshake. We could build communities around a TLD and have some sort of engagement or some sort of membership that could be used on the TLD side. And I think that's something that we're slowly seeing on Handshake right now, how people are building. And what also Mike mentioned is this is more about the international adoption. So we used to think as the internet to be US centric, and right now we're seeing that Sajan with India is building TLDs around the Indian ecosystem. I'm trying to help the Latin American chapters, on board to the internet and the decentralized web. So I guess it's early and it's very optimistic what the future holds for Handshake.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Everyone's in this event now. They really do care about handshakes. But do you think that they have a question like, do you think that HF3 would be easily to approach for the Asians? Vietnamese people care about they are doing care about the HF3.
Sure. So Bitman's a big supporter. I talked to Margie there just on Friday, and
Yeah.
they're very supportive for Handshake. They'll be a big supporter of HandyCon, our annual conference in March, and we're going to work on more ways to educate and help people with HS3. I'll be working on maybe tutorial or workshops for HS3s. And there's a lot of initiative from Bitmain to help Handshake succeed. They found a Handshake after Ethereum moved to proof of stake, because of course proof of stake is not a mining does it mine, right? It's staking. So
Yes.
after Ethereum moved to POS, they really, it's truly, there's not, I don't know of many other I don't know of other naming solutions on POW, proof of work. And I know name Bitmain is really wants to kind of grow and lead and is going to be supporting us in the community even more in 2024. So they asked for the HandyCon, they want to do a workshop about HS3 and mining Handshake. And maybe we can talk, Irene, about maybe doing something in Vietnam too.
That's great.
Yeah.
We are so excited.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So maybe would you share to the people here about the proof of work of handshakes? Like they want to know what is the difference between handshakes and others.
I think for naming solutions, there's I think there is Namecoin. I really don't know much about Namecoin. It was earlier than Handshake, but from what I've understood from many of my friends, it's a very the distribution of names was not done correctly. Squatters or many people got just a few people got most of the names in Namecoin. So I believe that was one of the big flaws of Namecoin. One of the more popular ones is ENS or Ethereum naming solution. And we spoke about Bitmain, and Bitmain might have supported ENS when Ethereum was proof of work, but it's proof of stake. A lot of people in the proof of work community or Bitcoin community feel like proof of stake is not as decentralized because proof of stake is more about who has the most money to stake. But of course, ENS is a very popular community with the .eth, but it only has the .eth, and it also tries to integrate Web2 domains into it, but they don't have other like Handshake. Many people in Handshake are not fans of unstoppable domains or UD, but they are
Yes.
probably one of the top three. I think ENS and UD are the top two. Handshake, in my opinion, is a three. UD is a centralized company in USA, I think in Delaware or San Francisco and they issue their own TLD themselves and they sell them for premium prices to buyers. So in my opinion, it mostly gets to those that have money, whereas Handshake could even get a domain for free. It's an auction system, right? So many people have gotten free domains from Handshake, whereas Unstoppable is basically buying them with credit cards or Ethereum or Polygon to the central company that issues them and seems to be continuing to issue more TLDs
Yes.
for what we believe they're just doing that to get more funds for their. There are a few others, but I think they didn't really survive the bear market. There was a
Yes.
couple other in the last bull market.
Yes.
Maybe they're still
I know.
around. There's like Free Name and there's DWeb, Decentral Web, but both of those are also more like Ethereum based proof of stake token projects that have centralized foundations that kind of control them. So those are like the five or six that I'm aware of. I mean, then there's also ones that are like a lot of these blockchains make their own ENS kind of like dot Sol for Solana or dot BTC for stacks on L2 of Bitcoin.
Yes.
But I really, of course, I'm biased. Of course, I of course have chosen Handshake, so of course I'm going to be more biased. But I truly don't see as much of an open and multi solution as Handshake has.
Yes. So in my opinion, I see that Handshake has is the most potential blockchain that I'm into right now.
Yeah, I mean, some
So
people Stargaze.stars is another blockchain that uses .stars from Handshake onto their ecosystem,
yeah.
and there's others that are who are talking to try to use the Handshake protocol for their TLD. in their blockchain system.
So as I say, the world needs a true decentralized internet, and Handshake is a need, right? So now we are
Yeah,
going to the Q&A. Yes.
yeah, I love
Um,
this, but yeah, I'm truly trying to be decentralized. I mean, and we feel like it takes multiple bulls and bear cycles to truly be recognized. And we feel we're going into at least I feel we're going into a bull market now. I'm pretty excited about 2024, and I think it's going to be a good year for our ecosystem.
yes.
Yeah, I love Q&A.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next step is a Q&A. The guest here will have the question for you, and can you please answer them, Mike?
I'll try my best, best I
Okay,
can.
thank you. So I'm going to take my pen to notice to know the questions. He asked, Nimbe has launched an app that named Thunderbolt. And what do you think about this app?
Yeah, Thunderbolt's not been released yet, but I know Namecheap, of course, is a big supporter of Handshake, and they're the second biggest registrar of domain names in the world. So I like the idea of using your domain name. We had said in my chat, like DIDs, decentralized identities. So Thunderbolt will also use Web2 domains like .com as well as Web3 domains, even ENS.eth, but also Handshake. So for me, the biggest exciting thing for Handshake is it gets more exposure to Handshake. So when you can use the name for your domain, but people say, "Whoa, what's this Handshake thing?" And I could actually get my own TLD and into this Thunderbolt and use a really cool domain name that's not possible in the current domain system. I think will be a great way to get more people to be aware of Handshake. But it's also really amazing because my username, phone number will be my email, will be my identity across all these different platforms. And they promise to be as decentralized and collaborate with as many tools as possible. It's not just a closed system, it's an open system from what they've said. Of course, we have to wait to see what they show us, but it seems very promising for sure.
Yeah, so that's the first question. Anyone has a second question for Mike? He asked about the processing of handshake exchange. And he asked like how long will it be done? And he also asked about the payment is connect with other payments nowadays that are available, or it's only helpful on Handshake.
Sure, sure. So exchanges, right? The first was exchange.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, the good and the bad about Handshake is there's no central foundation, which, as I said in my talk, I think is good, but there are some bad. So one bad thing about not having a central foundation is getting onto exchanges. Exchanges, at least in 2023, are more used to working with a foundation that has some allocation of tokens and money to give to the exchange to be listed, to represent the token or the coin on their platform. So I have spoken to some of these myself, but they, of course, would like money or at least liquidity to be put into their exchange. I'm not sure how much you understand about liquidity. Do you know, Irene?
Yes, I know it.
So they were saying you need to provide liquidity, and normally it's like, it's like at least 50,000 USD of liquidity to be deposited to their exchange for the trading. So basically, I'm trying to kind of even have Bitmain support and maybe name-based supports, but we need some bigger supporters in the community willing to help contribute liquidity and maybe even some listing fees to go to exchanges is basically my answer to number one. That's kind of one of the challenges of being so decentralized is getting into exchanges. I hope that's helpful. I guess the other way to get to exchanges is you become like Bitcoin doesn't have a really central foundation, but it becomes so popular and so big, the exchanges must list it because people want it. So that's much harder to do as a community to become so big they cannot ignore you. But that's the other way of getting into exchanges. But we do have a few smaller exchanges now, I believe you're aware of. We're on Gate and MXC. There's actually a startup in the ecosystem working on a product called Warp.io, WARP, and it will help decentralized exchange that will include Handshake. Hopefully, in the HandyCon, they could maybe have something to show in March, maybe April. So that
That's
is some
great.
good news I've heard. It's a little bit new. I don't think we've announced that yet, but
Yes.
so that's the first one about exchanges.
Yes.
The second one about using it for payment. Some people in the community have made various plugins on WordPress or other tools to accept Handshake, but I would still say mostly it's being used for the domains. But there is a lot of talk in the community about using Handshake not just for TLDs, but for SLDs. I don't know how much you understand the difference of a TLD or an SLD, but there's talk about using it for the domains within the TLDs. So you could sell names, secondary domains under the TLD in the Handshake coin. So I think that's a promising idea, but it's also used for utility of renewing the TLD. So you have to have the HNS coin to buy the domain on the auctions, but you also need the coin to renew your domain every 2 years in a heartbeat transaction. So that's already has more utility than Bitcoin. Bitcoin has less utility than Handshake coin because you need the coin for the domain buying and for the domain renewing. So of course we're still very early, but we believe if this does get to be adopted as much as it will be, renewal itself will be a very good utility of sustaining the economy of the Handshake coin.
Yes. So promisable, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we move. That's the third. That's the second question. Anyone has a third question? Third, she has a questions. ENS domains become more famous than HNS. So she wondered if there would be a competition between ENS domains and HNS domains.
Yeah, it's a good question. I didn't say it in my, but ENS uses .eth. So all their domains are .eth. On Handshake, we reserve .eth, and ENS has claimed .eth. So they actually have our TLD. Well, it's their TLD in Handshake, and ENS does not plan to issue their own TLDs besides .eth. So actually, we believe there's more complementary than competing things with ENS and HNS. HNS is TLDs, ENS is .eth, as well as Web2 integration. So I'm not sure how technical I should get, Irene, but I don't see them as direct competitors. I just see .eth as a good example of what you can do with your own HNS TLD. So you could have Irene become as popular as .eth, and
Yes.
we could our own ENS with HNS. So every single TLD on HNS could be its own ENS.
Okay, I
We
understand it.
use ENS technology for HNS. There's some impervious domains has forked ENS and is using ENS technology for HNS TLDs.
Okay, so thank you, Mike, for answering three questions. I wonder if there's anyone that having any more questions here for Mike. So he asked, the next Hasford is expected to bring a new breakthrough for Handshake. So can you please share your opinion about this and how Handshake could benefit in the next Hasford?
Hard fork. Yeah, excuse me.
Yes.
Actually, I think
You could talk about the happening that it's coming on
yeah, you're right.
next
You're
year.
right. I think
I
maybe
think
I
they're
heard
asking about that.
yeah, I
Yes,
think
that's
I heard
true.
it as one word. I was hearing hard fork as one word, not it's technically two, but actually I think it's actually a soft fork, not a hard fork, technically. And it was nicknamed the happening.
Mm.
So what's happening in early next year, just a month or so away, is a lot of as I mentioned in my talk, the founders reserved a lot of coins and names for the current internet that they gave away to the community. But many of these people never in the last 4 years never came to redeem their winnings, their free gift of the name and some coins. So we will not wait for them anymore. And this happening, the soft fork will release those names into the mempool, basically into back to the blockchain to be auctioned off to anyone who would like to bid on them. So I'm not sure how much everybody's familiar with the auction system, the Victory auction system of Handshake, but that will be what happens to maybe 80,000, I believe. Quite a lot of these names, about 80,000, I think, will go into the mempool to be opened and auctioned. Some are very, very desirable names, like very short, 2 letters, 3 letters, single words. I can't think of them on the top of my head, but that will create a lot of demand in the community to buy HNS and participate in these auctions of these names in the beginning of 2024. So a lot of us believe that will create a new demand for the token or coin, excuse me, as well as for the names, as well as new interest into the ecosystem to get more people excited about the future of Handshake. And as well, it will be burning coins. I'm not sure how many, but there'll be some burning of coins as well as releasing of reserved names to create more auctions and activity and demand. So yeah, it definitely feels like it should be a very bullish activity for the community and drive more interest and demand.
Thanks a lot for sharing. I wonder if the guests here have any other questions. So let me ask them. So I would like to translate the questions. He asked, nowadays, there are so many Vietnamese people want to join in the handshake node. They want to mine the coin. Yes, but we don't have any providers here. I mean, the providers is not really easy to approach. So he asked if there is any, any official official providers of handshake of miners in Vietnam.
Okay, like a distributor for HS3s, you mean, or any kind of mining of
Yes,
Handshake?
he was asking about the mining providers.
Okay. I mean, Bitmain has become one of the main ones. There's also Gold Shell. I have contacts with both of them. As I mentioned, I think or Margie, I could also speak to her next week and help with this.
Yes.
Maybe we can make it happen. Maybe next week I could help get that information.
Wow, that's great. So thanks a lot for answering. Let me answer our audience here as the last. So thank you a lot, Mike.
Thanks.
So it's the end of the calls here. Thanks a lot for joining. Thanks, Mike and San Diego. Thanks a lot for joining in. Thanks a lot for coming in and support me. So Merry Christmas. Wish you all the merry and the cookies with your family.
Thanks. Have some now.
Yeah, that's great to see you. Actually, I can't wait to see you in Vietnam and Vietnamese handshake community camp too. They are waiting for
Yeah,
you to come here. Yeah,
maybe we should talk about that soon. Let's talk about it next week.
that, okay, that's great. Thank you a lot for coming in. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, San Diego. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me, and I want to wish everyone Merry Christmas. And both of us, Mike and myself, we're available on X, on Twitter. Like my handle is on my name at Stronix. Please feel free to reach out to me or to Mike with any questions, and we're going to be very happy to answer them.
Thank you.
So we're
Yes.
very easy to be reached, very reachable on Twitter. So please don't be shy.
Yes, thank you a lot. Your existence here today is my pleasure. Thank you a lot.